So if everyone's ready, and my timer, then let's begin. Imagine Star Wars at the beginning of the movie, and all of a sudden, the famous words appear. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. Without music. Picture Indiana Jones on an adventure. Whoosh! With no famous music to go with it. Both these movies just wouldn't be the same without their music. Music affects how we think and how we go about our lives. I've been playing classical music on the piano for most of my life, and I can say it's been an amazing experience. I love how I can create different sounds when I play, and how people can be affected by my music playing. So today we're going to talk about how music can and does affect the brain, what types of music are good and bad to listen to, and how you can use music for maximum benefit in your own life. Music happens to be one of the highest forms of communication, and therefore significantly affects our brains. Music is one of the best ways to connect dendrites in your brain. Now, if you're wondering what a dendrite is, it's basically a piece of information that connects to another piece of information in your brain. And basically, the more dendrites you have, the smarter you are. Playing the piano is actually an incredible way to increase dendrite growth in your brain. The reason for this is when someone is playing the piano, they are seeing, hearing, and feeling all the perfectly ordered information. Probably why a lot of scientists recommend playing the piano. Interestingly enough, we're not the only creation in the world that reacts to music. A group of people wanted to test what happened if they let plants listen to music. One group of plants was given classical music to listen to, another was given rock music. The final group, the control group, was left alone in silence. The group of plants that listened to classical music grew extraordinarily tall for that type of plant. They also grew faster than normal. The rock music group was sad. Most of them died. And those didn't even get the chance to grow. These plants were responding to vibrations, not the words. Our brains are affected by music, and there is scientific evidence as to how and why this is. Our brain has the ability to absorb and make sense of music. According to Medical Daily, which says, quote, the brain's ability to absorb and make sense of music, what some scientists refer to as organized sound, is highly complex and far more effective than even a computer's capacity to identify and process, end quote. When our brain is on music, a lot of interesting things happen. Lauren O'Donnell, who's a PhD from Harvard Medical, tells us in an article what happened to Albert Einstein. Quote, Einstein himself said that the reason he was so smart was because he learned to play classical music with his violin. He loved the music of Mozart and Bach the most. A friend of Einstein's, G.J. Withrow, said the way Einstein figured out his problems and equations was by improvising on the violin, end quote. This is incredible to think about, because Einstein is known to be one of the smartest men in the world. He himself said that the reason he was so smart was because he learned to play classical music with his instrument. Now, when we listen to music, much more is happening in our bodies than simple auditory processing. Music can have positive and negative effects. It really matters what type of music you listen to. According to Dr. Mercola, an accomplished author and physician, quote, music triggers activity in the nucleus accumbens, a part of the brain that releases the feel-good chemical dopamine and is involved in forming expectations. At the same time, the amygdala, which is involved in processing emotion, and the prefrontal cortex, which makes possible abstract decision-making, are also activated, end quote. As you can see, this is a lot of brain activity happening all at the same time. A certain scientist was curious on how music affects the brain, so he decided to conduct an experiment on students that were taking a test. He gave one group of students classical music to listen to, and the other one was left in silence. When the test scores came out, everyone was bewildered. The group of students that had no music to listen to got the average grade for the test. But the students that listened to classical music during the test got 40% higher than the average student. In my opinion, if students want to raise their SAT scores, they should seriously think about listening to Mozart. Now, unfortunately, As you probably already noticed, not all music is good for us to listen to. Scientists experimented and found that rock music negatively affects intellectual scores, while classical music, like Mozart, actually increases intelligence. A guy by the name of Dave Mayer wanted to go deeper into this subject, of which music affects us and how. He decided to conduct an experiment using mice. He bought mice from a store and put them into 3 groups with separate cages. In the first cage, he put on classical music for 16 hours a day for the mice to listen to. To be specific, it was Mozart. It was a very complicated piece. The second cage of mice received no music, but were still fed like the others. In the last cage, he put on rock music for 16 hours a day for the mice to listen to. To be specific, it was AC/DC. He then designed a maze for the mice to run through. He made the maze with taking an average of about 10 minutes to get through. He then sent each group of mice once a week for 4 weeks down the maze. In the first week, the control group that had no music to listen to took around 10 minutes to finish the maze, which is the time they're expected to get. Eventually, in 4 weeks, they decreased that time to a little more than 5 minutes. But the classical listening mice shocked everyone. They all started out with a time of about 10 minutes. But in 4 weeks, they got a time of only 1 minute and 20 seconds. Sadly, the rock listening mice didn't do so well. They all started out with a time of about 10 minutes. But in 4 weeks, they made it all the way to 30 minutes. They got so confused because they were listening to rock music for 4 weeks. Some of them never even got to finish the maze because they couldn't tell which direction they needed to go. Some of them even started killing each other. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the power of rock music. Classical is good for our brains. Rock, not so much. 7 years ago, a school called Feversham High School wasn't doing so well. In 2011, they scored below the national average in reading, writing, and maths. The school knew they needed to do something about their problem. They discussed it in a meeting one day and decided to put a music program into the school. They all started playing musical games in class, and the results were staggering. The school just recently got into the national news and is now rated in the top 10% of schools in the U.S. The school has way higher percentages than the average now. That just shows us how much music can really affect everyone. Now, music can not only affect us in our schools, but also in our daily lives. For instance, movies would not be worth watching without music because they would become boring. Let's revisit Indiana Jones as a good example. I picture a lullaby during this movie while all the action is happening. Does that really fit the movie? No, not even close. The same thing goes for romantic movies. Can you imagine action and adventure music during a romantic movie? It would be terrible. Because when we listen to music during a movie, we want the music to reflect what is happening. Right now I'm in the middle of learning Pirates of the Caribbean on the piano. And let me tell you, it is full of excitement. Jack Sparrow has this famous line he always says, "This is the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow." Now picture him saying this line, but without the well-known musical theme and complete silence. Awkward. It wouldn't affect it the same without music. Music is a powerful force of communication that affects our mind and our quality of life. Music can be used to influence us positively and negatively. My hope is that you consider the effect music has on your brain, what types of music you're choosing to listen to, and how you can use music for maximum benefit in your own life.